So I think most people at this point have an idea of the sort of lawyer that Alina Habba is. They've seen her attempt to get Donald Trump out of the legal holes that he has dug for himself, and they have quickly come to the conclusion that she is utterly incapable of actually doing that. Partly because she doesn't seem particularly talented as a lawyer, partly because she doesn't seem to be able to get Donald Trump to do any of the things that might help him in terms of making the case, and also, sort of the flip side of that coin, can't stop him from doing the things that harm him, both legally and in the public eye. But the label of her as a terrible lawyer is something that appears to be getting to her. And I know that because of a video that Donald Trump tweeted out. So we're going to get to that in just a little bit. Thank you all for joining us. We have other news to get to before that. Hope you all had a good Easter weekend, if that's a thing that matters to you, either for religious reasons or for candy reasons. I think both are perfectly valid. Thank you for being here. Hit the like button if you haven't already, because we're going to jump into a little bit of news. So, I want to start off with this. I'm not a, oh my God, I'm so not the guy that likes this sort of show that I can't even remember the name of the show. Jackass. I'm not a Jackass guy. I mean, I might be a Jackass, but I'm not like a of Jackass sort of guy. But Steve-O of Jackass told a story about being invited onto Bill Maher's show, Club Random. And Steve-O has apparently been sober for 16 years. Takes it very seriously, I think, for obvious reasons. And he said, I'll come on the show, Bill Maher, but I need you to not smoke weed while I'm there out of respect for my sobriety. I don't want to be exposed to the secondhand smoke of you smoking weed. And Bill Maher said, no. And that seems odd to me. Really fast, on the crackling mic, this is not my mic, this is just the phone. I don't know why that would be having a problem. Hopefully it will be fixed. But if this story is accurate, and look, there's a chance that it's not. It's a chance that there's a chance that it was miscommunication, or maybe Steve-O's lying. But if that is true, god damn, is Bill Maher a piece of shit. Like, you could have an actual conversation with this guy. Maybe you could have a conversation about the sobriety thing, about this amazing achievement over the course of 16 years, and no, I want to smoke. You can't, like, take a gummy or something, you jackass. There's other ways of doing it that don't... Smoke before you go out. Smoke and then do the show with him. What a petty dick thing to do. When you apparently wanted this guy on. But how bad did you want him on? If you're the entitlement, every single second needs to be exactly the way I want it to be. I apologize if there's still audio problems. This is just my phone. It's a new phone. I don't know why it would be having problems. I want to move on to other news. Cautionary tale. This is a small thing. I don't know how many of you watched Gen V. It was a show that I watched and quite enjoyed. One of the stars of it, Chance Perdomo, was announced, apparently died, only 27 years old, some sort of motorcycle accident. And look, admittedly, details about the nature of the accident are slim or non-existent. I will say, as a person who rode motorcycles for a number of years, fucking sucks how dangerous it is. It really, really sucks. It's always, of course, been dangerous, even as bikes have, had new safety features sort of integrated into them. But the thing about bikes that make them so dangerous is, well, on the one hand, it's the inherent nature of it being a motorcycle. The other thing, though, is that your safety has not a ton to do with you or your bike or your ability to ride it. It is so dependent on other people. And so the thing that has made bikes so unsafe in recent decades is everyone else. You know how, like, you'll be driving and you'll get to a stoplight and you'll look over and the person next to you is just, I don't know, recording a TikTok video or watching, Planet Earth or something, some other thing than driving the vehicle. That is kind of scary if you're driving a car, if you're wrapped in thousands of pounds of metal. But when you're just perched on top of something, let me just say, as a person who rode for a number of years, it's more threatening. And so, yeah, people just ramming you. I have no idea if that's what happened in this particular case. But I've had people almost totally accidentally almost run me off the road when I was riding. And that fucking sucks. You should be free to ride the sort of, like, transport yourself in the way you want. But you kind of don't. You don't have that freedom. Because other people want to be playing their fucking Nintendo Switch or whatever while they're riding around. And it sucks that that exists. Again, I don't know if that's what happened in this case. I have no idea. But, and by the way, I know, I haven't seen any messages about this, but I am familiar with some of his, like, social media activity and everything. Right now, that's not what I care about this. I care about the fact that people should be free to ride bicycles or ride motorcycles and not be just mowed down by people who are obsessed with their cars, but not obsessed in actually paying attention to driving their cars. Anyway, I want to move on to other news. This is an interesting story, I think, especially in election year. So, like, Joe Biden actually, after years of pressure, canceled a bunch of student loan debt. And then the conservative Supreme Court took that out and put back onto the shoulders of millions of borrowers, hundreds of millions of dollars of student loan debt. That has not gotten nearly enough of a reaction from the people who could have had that cancellation, in my view. Like, in terms of things the government can do that can improve the quality of your life, Joe Biden did the thing, Republicans stopped the thing, and I feel like there's not been enough attention paid to that. But don't worry, we have a second opportunity to do that. So after that was knocked out, he came up with a smaller, more limited thing. So the SAVE plan, this idea that they will help to cap how much you have to pay. It sort of helps you over time in managing the debt that you have. So now Republicans are trying to kill even that. So Republicans representing a number of different states, I believe it's 11 states, are suing over that. That's $156 billion in student debt eventually that would be canceled. But no, fuck those people and fuck their aspirations and their hope of buying a home or starting a business or moving to live in the part of the country they want to. Fuck them, says the Republican Party. And I'm very curious, like, if they're successful, and why wouldn't they be? The Supreme Court has already shown that they don't give a shit about people needlessly burdened by tons of debt for education that isn't worth what is being charged in this case. And it's on the colleges, it's on the private companies that are making massive profits off of this, but it's just allowed that that's going to continue. And there's been no fundamental effort to reform the system. I don't know if it'll work, but I fear that it will. And when it does, if it does, there are going to be so many conservatives who are going to be fucked over for the rest of their lives as a result of this. And I wonder if they will stop for even a moment and think about that. Think about how different their lives could be if not for Republicans being Republicans and doing what Republicans do. Look out for the interest of student loan guarantors over the actual people who are just trying to start their life. They're just doing what they were told to do. Never forget that. I know that, like, now, the independent right-wing grifters are like, college is Satan or whatever, you shouldn't go. But we were raised and we were told, you need to be responsible. You need to pick yourself up by your bootstraps. You need to prepare yourself to be a functioning member of society. You need to be not only a cog in the machine of capitalism, but a high-functioning cog. And now if you try to do that, if you try to get the degrees that you have to have for virtually any position, even entry-level positions, fuck you for literally decades. Seems like there should be a political cost to pay for that. We'll see if there will be. Really fast, I just wanted to point this out. This was tweeted by the NRA a couple of days ago. I carried my gun all day. It didn't shoot anyone. And yes, I did notice that Donald Trump and the Border Patrol are put there. Hey, remember when Donald Trump screwed over the Border Patrol, who desperately needed help in that border bill, and he told them to go fuck themselves, and they said that we should pass the Border Patrol, and they needed more pay, and Republicans laughed at them for that, and Trump said, fuck you, you don't get any more money. Remember that? Pepperidge Farms remembers. But anyway, I carried my gun all day. It didn't shoot anyone. Tell that to the conservative guys who shot their dick off in Home Depot or whatever. Tell that to the many, many, many people who are injured or die thanks to accidental discharges. I love this myth that the only time a gun goes off is when a good guy with a gun points it at a terrorist and decides, I'm going to pull this trigger. That's not how guns work. That's not how guns work at all. And guns are stolen, and guns are lost, and lots of bad stuff. Lots of people die every single year. I love the myth in this, and I wonder how much of that crossed the mind of the asshole who tweeted it for the NRA. I don't know. Hey, talking about horrible social media posts, Donald Trump Jr. decided to post this, waking up on Transgender Day of Visibility. See, do you get it? Do you get the meme? Do you get the joke? Michelle Obama is trans. Now, some of you, let's say that you are new to following American politics. First of all, welcome. Glad to have you aboard. Or maybe you're like a reasonable, regular person. You might see that and think, wait, what? Why is Michelle Obama trans? Well, it's actually complicated, and we're going to go through it step by step. She's a black woman. Oh, that's actually it. That's the whole thing. And to these conservatives, there is something inherently suspicious and masculine about black women who are unabashed in their political values and hold a public, the public eye, and have apparently lived their life with nothing less than respect and all of that. Like, it's just, there's something suspicious about it. So she needs to be taken down. That's the literal whole thing. There's nothing else to it. And yet, they cannot go 2 fucking days without talking about the fact that she's a man. I guess because, it bothers them so much. And they cannot help but project that when they post stuff like this. Barack Obama and Michelle Obama are obviously not perfect people. I'm sure they're not perfect people in their personal lives. And politically, obviously, I had many things to say that were very critical about Barack Obama. But in terms of, scandal, there's nothing. There's nothing personal. They seem to be in a happy marriage. They have a couple of lovely children. They just have a successful family. They have the sort of family that conservatives say they want you to have. Unless if you're a black Democrat, in which case, fuck you. Again, fuck you for having student loan debt or being a black Democrat. So they know what Trump and Melania's thing is. They know that Trump has been divorced multiple times, and that's not really a big deal. But the fact that he seems to be sort of just every decade he trades in for a new trophy wife or whatever the imports from Eastern Europe, that theoretically is not what they say they want in terms of relationships. And obviously, as you can see from this post, their adult children are pieces of fucking trash. And so, I don't know, when you look to your guy and his family and it's such trash, you kind of have to lash out to take the focus off that. And so you turn to the Obamas, where there's nothing. There's not even the Hunter Biden drug stuff. There's just nothing. And so they have to make up stuff. They're conspiracists. They are deeply uncomfortable with reality. They do not like the world they live in. They don't understand it, and they're very, very, very scared of it. And so they make up a fantasy world, and not even in the cool way that I make up fantasy worlds at patreon.com/John Idarola and release, new fiction, fantasy, and sci-fi every month. They don't do that. They have to make it up and pretend that it's real, which is way more pathetic than writing fantasy stories about animals going on adventure like I do. I don't think that my stories are real. They think these stories are real. But anyway, I want to turn to our main story. And thank you to the 2,000 of you who are already here, especially the 732 of you who've already hit the like button. I want to talk now about Alina Habba. So we know that she's a bad lawyer. You know that she's a bad lawyer. She is apparently aware of the fact that that has reached a critical mass. It's gotten through to the masses. And I know that because Donald Trump posted on social media, "What kind of a justice system is this? So unfair. Couldn't even present evidence. The judge was an out-of-control disaster. Election interference. Will win on appeal." So this is him embedding this video of, I don't even know what the fucking show is. God damn, is it way too easy for right-wingers to make shows? But Alina Habba is on it. And I'm just going to play 1 minute of it. What is actually in this is not really that important.
This is what you were talking about, by the way.
This kills me. This kills me.
This makes
I could not bring
That's
this
Alina
in front of
Habba.
the jury. They would not let me bring
Just look at her hair before it even plays. That's a crazy person hair.
Okay, so E. Jean Carroll, an old clip.
So many sexual connotation.
She once
This
talked
was
about how
not-
some women have rape
this was
fantasies,
not sexual.
which is
It
true.
just-
Talk about
And then
that.
Alina Habba goes on. She was not able to play that video at court.
ETF.
They talk about the fact that E. Jean Carroll has a cat named Vagina.
Now, why does it matter that they're discussing this? Because she goes on to say that it's unfair that people call her a terrible lawyer. And they call her a terrible lawyer because she notably lost every case that she's been involved in since she became a public figure. And as a result of that, Donald Trump is losing hundreds of millions of dollars. But her defense of herself is, I would not have lost, nor would I be considered a terrible lawyer if only I'd been able to do X. Which is interesting, okay? Maybe there is a world where she would not be thought of as a terrible lawyer. But the issue for her is, if you're going to put forward that as a hypothesis, we're then going to have to evaluate what X is. And if X is stupid, then you're not only a terrible lawyer, but you're kind of a dumb donkey too. And in this case, unfortunately, all of what she presents in that video, which is nearly 12 minutes long, which is why we're not going to watch it live on the show here, is stupid and has nothing to do with the actual claims that were made by E. Jean Carroll. So let's say that you had been able to present to the court, did you know, dear jury, that she has a cat named Vagina? You would and should be laughed out of that courtroom. If you were to present a video of her telling Anderson Cooper that some women have rape fantasies, and you think that that has something to do with the fact that for multiple decades she has been claiming that Donald Trump sexually assaulted her, then you are worse than just a bad lawyer. You're honestly worse than a dumb donkey at that point. You're kind of a POS at that point. You can acknowledge that some women have rape fantasies and have been raped. And honestly, I feel kind of sick even having to discuss this. She has forced us to do so. Alina Habba is a woman. Alina Habba presumably knows other women. Alina Habba went to college. Alina Habba technically went to a law school, kind of. She has known how many, if we had to guess, women who've tragically been sexually assaulted. 3, 10, I don't know. It's like a quarter of women in college, so dozens probably. And now, after all of that experience of knowing those people who've had this horrible experiences, to make money, to get on TV, to get on shitty right-wing shows like that, she needs to go and pretend, I don't understand any of that. I actually think it's totally acceptable to have a never-ending, ever-shifting list of qualifications where if you don't do exactly what we say you need to do, then you're not a good enough rape victim, and we don't trust you anymore. That is what she would have you believe she actually believes, but more importantly, she would have you believe that that would sway a jury. She is worse than just a terrible lawyer. She is worse than just a dumb donkey. She's kind of a piece of shit. Honestly, she belongs. She belongs in the Trump circle. I don't know who she used to be. People say that back in college she was like a lib or something, and that this might be just grift. She's just chasing money or whatever. Okay, fine. But at this point, it doesn't matter what you were. What matters is what you are. And what you are sucks. And you are a terrible lawyer. That is a sign that will be hung around your neck for the rest of your life. Probably not much of it in the public eye, because at the end of the day, you kind of have to deliver for your client, and you seem incapable of doing that. But goddamn, does she suck. Anyway, thank you, everybody. We've got a full show coming up in just 4 minutes, so I'm going to see you in a few. Hit the like button on the way out if you haven't already.